so keep that in mind.
Yeah, hey, forget I asked.
That'll definitely do.
Ew. Join the Discord.
It was the least fun I've ever had playing this game.
A small but vibrant and extremely humble community.
No, I've seen the sleeves, but I'm like, you said you're suiting up and then you put your sleeve on. Thank you for saying that.
Because I'm a demon on the keys.
Next thing I know, we're both dead. I immediately left the lobby.
In Vietnam.
What are they playing for? Are they playing to win?
Stay humble.
Stay humble.
We are live. Welcome to the Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast, episode number 189. And it smells like peppermint in my home. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon, and I've got an elf on the shelf and a little fucking Christmas tree, dude. I've got an elf on the shelf.
Your tree is shit and ugly, by the way.
My tree is not shit, nor is it ugly, and fuck you.
Get out of the frame so it will focus on it. Let me see the actual tree. It looks terrible.
It's a fantastic tree, man. I don't know what to tell you, bud.
I'm not a big fan of white trees. It's not focusing, by the way, so good job, buddy.
It is now.
Okay, I'll have to wait 10 seconds. Okay. Oh, it's worse than I even imagined. Yeah, keep that thing not... get that out of here.
Wrong.
Yeah, don't focus that ever again.
I'm joined by this fucktard who's got some pedestrian tiny little shit baby tree. How does it feel to have a smaller tree than I do, Tanner? What are your thoughts on that?
Boy, I have more trees than you.
Why is it blue? Make the light green, man. It's Christmas.
Want to do green?
Yeah, let's get festive.
Hold on. We'll change it. We'll change to green live.
You've got the red.
Oh, I don't like green.
Go. Okay.
Green doesn't look good.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
I like it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we're green today then, I guess.
We're getting fucking merry, dude.
It's way too green. I hate it.
You'll figure it out.
Got it.
How's that diet cock?
Got it. Good.
Yeah, let's move on. Welcome to the show. So today we are doing an episode we've been wanting to do. We've been excited for since Caldera came out. And as a reminder, if you're a fucking new frog, we start with announcements. You can skip them. There are timestamps in the show notes or in the video description if you're on YouTube. So you could skip these if you want. However, not many announcements today. In fact, none. Smile. I don't think there are any announcements. Really? I can't think of any. No. Besides the one listed, but that's a thing we're doing every episode now, by the way.
Yeah. Huh. I guess not. Cool.
So for those of you who are patrons, patreon.com/thedropshot, 5 bonus episodes a month is the best way to support the show. Only $5 a month and you get 4 bonus eps a month. If the value is just absurd. Patreon.com/thedropshot. We just recorded our Patreon episode, our first one for the month of December out of 5 at patreon.com/thedropshot. And it was about our weapon meta predictions for Caldera. And indeed for the entire tenure of Vanguard. Because I think it's a pretty forward-looking episode. Both the near future and the further future, rather. I had a lot of fun doing that episode. It was sort of like a Warzone brainstorm, except we really focused much more heavily on weapons specifically. So for example, snipers are probably going to become more prevalent. SMGs might become less prevalent. How do shotguns fit into this picture? When you introduce a new game and 8,000 new guns that came with Vanguard for a total of 8 million because we have simply too many guns in the game, and also a new map that is entirely different than the last map, you can imagine the weapon meta will change a lot. So we did our last Patreon episode on that topic, trying to kind of figure out how things are going to change. And I think they're going to change actually pretty fucking drastically. Which we talked about. So that Patreon episode will be live tomorrow morning at 3 a.m. If you're listening on an app, it's already live. So if you're a patron, you can go listen to it. If you're not a patron, patreon.com/thedropshot. You could sign up and you get instant access to 70 plus bonus eps. Just hours of content, dude. Hours. So figure it out. But that ep was really fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. What were your thoughts on our latest episode, Tanner? our latest
Absolute
Patreon
banger.
episode.
I think we mentioned the Coop Carb in there, didn't we? Too, and that's
we mentioned the Coopy
and we were
boy.
right about it,
and
we were right
correct.
about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was saying, I think that Coop Carb is going to be it. That thing's nasty in Vanguard. Sure enough, that thing is getting real nasty. So if you guys want a good sniper sport, you better start leveling up that Coop Carb.
Yeah.
Insane. So yeah, that was a very good episode. I think a lot of good weapon discussions. Those are always solid eps. Very excited to do a Warzone brainstorm this month as well. That'll be a fucking banger,
Yeah,
dude.
dude,
Oh
I'm
my
excited
goodness.
too.
Ooh.
It was hard to not do it. It was hard to stay on just weapons yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, damn, I want to talk about so much more. But we'll have a lot of that to talk about today. What were you going to say? Okay, well, go ahead.
Oh, no. Well, should we announce that or say anything about that? Or
sure.
do we not need to?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Okay, so
you can do it. Yeah.
We are also going to be doing a roundtable. I think we did mention this in our last episode, but I'll remind everyone. We're going to be doing a Warzone roundtable soon at a time, probably in maybe late December, but probably more like January. Actually, maybe late December, maybe the last Saturday of December. We could do one. That actually might be a good time. Because I think that would be enough time to where a roundtable would be interesting.
Yeah, maybe we'll figure something out. Yeah, it's possible.
We're going to have one pretty soon, so we'll announce when that is
last
coming.
Saturday's Christmas, so it'd be January either way.
Yeah.
Sometime in January.
Yeah, pretty soon. So we'll announce when that's happening, and that's going to be a really, really good episode. That's going to be really fun. Because we're going to obviously be talking about Warzone quite a bit. For the very foreseeable future. And it'll be good to get some other perspectives on here as well. And you guys seem to enjoy those roundtables, so that'll be coming henceforth fairly soon. So if you have any nominations, let us know. So other than that, Tanner, any announcements from you?
Nah.
Got it. If you're listening for the jingle, here it is.
Ooh. Yeah.
I've never seen a water polo team ever. I don't even know what it is, really. It's like where you tread water and like sling fucking skeet balls at each other, right?
It's like volleyball, isn't it?
Dude, I swear to God, I have no idea.
They like play with like volleyball, basically, size.
Oh, I thought it was
balls,
the thing where you have the fucking addle and you yeet like skeet balls into nets in a pool. Isn't that? I don't care.
I think you're mixing up lacrosse, which is played on land.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I've never watched water polo, but I'm pretty sure it's just like a ball and you throw it into a goal. I don't know. It's hard. I know that. You have to be in shape to do that.
I have neither a trust fund nor a private school education, so I don't know how water polo is played.
Actually, yeah.
And I couldn't be more thrilled about it. All right, welcome to the show. Today we are not talking about water polo anymore. We are going to be talking about Caldera / Warzone Season 1 First Impressions. Warzone Pacific Season 1 First Impressions. So normally when a new season comes out, almost always lately, actually, on Saturdays, we do First Impressions episodes. Today will be no different. So it's still going to be like a Season 1 First Impressions episode. However, obviously, the focus is going to heavily be on the new map, because that was the biggest thing with this particular Season 1. So this is not going to be strictly about the new map. It's going to be everything related to Season 1 and what's changed, which was a substantial list of things. But it's going to obviously, again, include the new map. There's a lot to say about the new map, which we're going to get into now. So we're going to be doing neutral, cons, pros. Those are the topics that we've subdivided into. There might be some interwoven kind of things. If we're on cons and we think of a neutral, we'll fucking say it and we'll figure it out. This is not an exhaustive list, and within each category, these are in no particular order. So let's get started first with some neutral observations here. Okay. These are things that I consider neither good nor bad. They are just noteworthy. So, of note, first of all, this is kind of almost a pro, actually. The performance in terms of frame rate is okay. The frame rate for me on Caldera is neither better nor worse than my frame rate was in Verdansk, with an asterisk. The asterisk being there's no Nakatomi on Caldera. So nowhere on Caldera do I get sub 100 frames. That was not true in Verdansk. So you could say Caldera's performance is better because it doesn't have Nakatomi. That is, of course, true for many reasons other than frame rate, but frame rate included. But in general, my frames are about the same on Caldera as they were in Verdansk. But another asterisk would be, so there's two asterisks now. Try saying that, by the way. None of you can say this word because you can't speak as well as I can. Asterisk.
Asterisk?
Asterisk.
That's not how you say it. That's not how you say it.
Tell me how you say it then.
Asterisk.
Okay.
Ass trick.
That's I'm malding and coughing and vomiting and sneezing all over myself. Wrong.
Got it.
The second asterisk would be that I get like no stuttering on this map. And on Verdansk, even if my frames were about the same as Caldera, I would get weird stuttering sometimes. Just like kind of like hitches, like micro stutters, which is very annoying. And if you're in a gunfight, is actually quite detrimental. So
yeah,
how has your performance been? I need to throw my dog out. Hold on.
Mine's been a lot better across the board, but mine's mostly because I ran NVIDIA filters in Verdansk because I thought it was absolutely, without a doubt, necessary. When I started watching early gameplay that content creators put out the day before, and I watched one video, I'm like, oh, yeah, I will never need NVIDIA filters on this game ever. The colors are beautiful. I can tell people can see things. So I uninstalled that thing the day before we got Caldera. The night before I prepared, I uninstalled the absolute living shit out of NVIDIA GeForce Experience. So because of that reason, I'm getting more frames. There doesn't seem to be those drops like what you're saying. Like certain areas of Verdansk would really dip. Like you go from 140 to 100 or something, for example. But with this, it seems that the lows aren't nearly as low as they were on Verdansk. So I think overall the average frame rate is a little bit higher on this. I mean, mine are a lot better, like probably like 40 to 50 more, but a lot of that's because I stopped running filters and got rid of GeForce Experience.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it. It's feeling excellent because the higher your frames, the less input delay you have. Your mouse feels a lot better. So it's working great for me. I love it.
Tracking's easier. Yeah. There's so much.
Oh my God.
So much is better about it.
It actually felt like Vanguard, like mouse input, because, you know, in Vanguard multiplayer, you get way higher frames. So it makes everything feel a lot smoother when you're seeing higher frames. Yeah. And so when I first dropped into Caldera, I was like, holy shit, dude, did they make this like Vanguard input? But I think it's just because of the higher frame rate. So
you're getting
it feels
the info
fantastic.
sooner. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're almost certainly right, actually. Yeah, which is nice. So yeah, this is like sort of a neutral, but it's kind of a pro, because as Tanner mentioned as well, if you were running filters before, which the vast majority of people were on Verdansk, you really don't need to on this map, which is effectively more frames. Now I can't speak to consoles. So on this point, so if you're on a console, you're probably getting fucked by Caldera. It was a real rough launch for you guys, and I apologize for that. I don't apologize because it's not my fault, but I feel sympathy for you. Put it that way. So you know, I don't know how the performance is on a console once this is ironed out, Caldera versus Verdansk, but I would imagine it's a similar kind of experience, roughly the same. What is this next point here, Tanner? Neutral point.
Okay, I put this in neutral. So shit audio for me overall seems to be less of an issue because there's a lot of fighting happening on this map out in the open. So the reason this is neutral, there's a lot of people complaining about poor audio right now. I haven't experienced this much. There's been one specific time where I was in like one of those like wooden barracks basically, and a guy ran up I mean, he was 5 feet behind me, sprinted up, killed me. I didn't hear a single thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this guy had Deddy. That's annoying. I watched the kill cam. He did not have Deddy. You could hear his footsteps. But on my end, I did not hear nothing. There was nobody shooting. I wasn't shooting. Absolutely nothing was going on. He ran up right behind me. So I think there are audio issues, but they seem to be happening inside of these buildings and little huts around the map, especially the wooden ones. But there's so much fighting going on outside of those that I think this issue isn't that big of a deal for now. But I don't know, because I mean, there's people all over Twitter bitching about this. To me, the audio seems the same as Verdansk. It just in Verdansk, you couldn't hear shit, and they'd be pushing up right below you inside of a building. So I don't know. People that think the audio is that much worse overall, I think, are just straight up wrong. So
I agree. I think the audio is exactly the same, which is to say dog shit, but it's not like it got worse. It was also dog shit in Verdansk. So yeah, the audio is terrible, but it's always been, I mean, welcome to Warzone. It's always been terrible. So I don't think it got any worse. It certainly didn't get better. But also, audio being trash matters less on this map than it did in Verdansk. Because Final Circle and Caldera, there aren't buildings 90% of the time. So you don't have to rely as much on audio when everyone's outside. You have to rely on seeing them the vast majority of the time. That's been my experience toward the end of the game. Whereas in Verdansk, Final Circle's in 8 buildings, and then you have to rely on audio cues to determine if they're above you, below you, on the roof, outside, opening a door, breaking glass. There are no doors. There is no glass on Caldera. So the audio being dog shit matters less in general. Now, I'm not defending Warzone audio, because it is dog shit, but it does matter less, in my opinion. That seems to be the case, especially toward endgame.
Yeah, it's like all these engagements that are happening, it's from outside to outside. So they're, these guys are 40, 50 meters away, and audio just doesn't even matter there, because you're so far away. So I don't know. Maybe these people are playing different. Maybe they're all hot dropping capital and fighting inside of the buildings. That could be the issue, because we're not really dropping places like that and looting inside of buildings and fighting in there too much.
Yeah.
So overall, it's just typical shit Warzone audio, but I don't think anything's that much worse.
I agree. And then what is this next point, Tanner? This is interesting.
Okay, so another thing. Regular vehicles in Battle Royale mode are, in fact, making the game play a lot quicker. In early access, when we only had Vanguard vehicles, it felt slow, it felt terrible. We had guessed, okay, maybe it's just probably because we don't have, Bertha's, choppers, transport trucks from Verdansk in the game yet, because the Vanguard ones do not handle well. They're slow. They have messed up handling. It's like you turn and there's like a delay from when it actually starts turning. They flip easier. They don't go up hills. They're
steering.
That power steering is off. Yeah. And so just the vehicles don't feel good in that mode at all. So regular vehicles are making it play a lot better in normal Battle Royale. So for me, I'm not even going to consider playing Vanguard Royale for a long time. I know a lot of people are enjoying it, but the vehicles make it a lot slower. There's no choppers. There's the stupid, ridiculous planes. So that's kind of why this is in neutral, because I know, people like the Vanguard mode. But for me, it's just a trash mode because the vehicles ruin it. But thankfully, we have normal BR where we can just get away from that stuff, and it's making it play so much quicker. So if you're thinking the game is very slow, which we'll get more into that, and you've only been playing Vanguard Royale, try regular BR. It'll be a lot quicker, trust me.
It's so much faster. Yeah. It is so
still not
much
Verdansk
faster.
Speed, but it's a lot better than Vanguard Royale.
Yeah, like on day one, we only had Vanguard Royale, and we had these 1940s V8s with 50 torque, 50 pounds per, what is it? Pounds per square inch? Is that how torque is measured? How's torque measured? You drive cars.
Pounds per foot, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah, square inch doesn't make sense, does it? It'd have to be.
Yeah, like I say, you drive cars. Foot pounds. Yeah, pound feet.
Pounds per foot, yeah.
Pound feet.
So it's like these Vanguard trucks, dude, it's like they have 50 pounds per foot of torque, where it's like they don't move in first gear. As soon as you just engage the clutch and fucking, because there were no automatic transmissions, maybe there were, I don't care, get into second gear, you fucking take off, but it takes a long time. That was my experience. Like, I think the top speed of a Vanguard little fucking buggy might be faster than the Verdansk Rover. I'm not kidding, but the acceleration is just atrocious. And that is even more of a problem when you're trying to scale a 70% incline mountaintop.
Yep.
Because then it's like you're just not moving until you're in second or third or sixth or whatever gears they have in the gearbox. I drive cars. So, yeah, so that's why we were like, dude, this is not a great map on day one, because we were under the impression, maybe subconsciously or otherwise, that the performance of the Vanguard vehicles would be indicative of the performance of the Verdansk vehicles on the map Caldera, which is not the case. You can mob up a mountain in a Rover like no problem.
Yeah, and that's
Rover.
either... Yeah, because, you know, you're fighting on the sides of hills and mountains often. So with the Vanguard vehicles, if you're driving up a hill and then you get out to take a fight, you wipe, you get back in that truck, hey, that thing isn't moving up that mountain for a solid 8 seconds. I mean, it's just, you're basically just parked there. So that makes it play a lot slower, but thankfully regular BR, the vehicles are better. I was actually getting worried. I was like, dude, I hope this isn't just replacing the Bertha and regular BR, but
yeah, we were not sure about that. Yeah, that was scary. That was spooky. That was spoopy, as they say. Yeah. And I'll edit that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So other than that for neutral, anything else, Tanner?
No.
Okay. So now we're going to move into cons. We're going to start with the bad, get into the good. And as always, there's always more bad to say than good, so stay mad. And we'll give you our overall impressions. Let me write that down actually real quick here. Okay. So, cons. No particular order. The first loadout comes later than expected. So Tanner and I are on record. And I don't know where I am on this. So I'm going to give you guys...
I'm getting torn.
The evolution of my thought process. We learned you couldn't buy a loadout until the first... Raiden's judging me already. You couldn't buy a loadout until the community one dropped. Like right after first circle. And then Tanner and I were like, this barely matters. You're going to get used to it in 2 seconds. Who fucking cares? Then we played a match and we were like, oh, this is a lot longer than I thought it was. Which is interesting because we've played hundreds of hours of Warzone and we still just underestimated how long that time was, which was funny. So then we were like, fuck, this sucks. Take me back. Pepe hands, F's in the chat. But now, like Tanner originally said, I'm kind of getting used to it. I'm not that mad about it anymore, and I'm not sure how I feel about it at this point. I would say right now, and I'm sure my opinion will continue to evolve on this, but right now, I think this is fine. I would still probably prefer just being able to buy a loadout whenever, but it's not a deal breaker for me anymore. And I still don't think I really care that much because I've gotten used to it fairly quickly and it doesn't bother me anymore. And all you have to do is just keep looting till you have some ground loot that you're comfortable with and familiar with, and then you can just play normally. And that's what we like to this morning. That's what we did. We dropped fields one game, which I later won for the team, of course. I was the only one alive. Tanner died, and so did Jake, and so did Papa Shadow, and I won the game for him. We dropped fields, and we were just in like a battle with two teams for the until first loadie dropped, and it was fun because instead of getting into Verdansk mode, which is loot, avoid fights till loadout, you have to change your mindset into drop, loot until you have ammo, plates, and a gun or two you're comfortable with, and then you can just fight. And if you get into that mindset, I think it's actually probably fun. The only issue is if you're not getting any good ground loot, then you will mull. Yeah. But once you learn all the ground loot, I think in general it's pretty easy to find something that's passable. And then all you have to do is kill one team, and then you'll have, 8 more guns to choose from, and you'll find something fun. And that'll tide you over until Lodi drops. So I've kind of come full circle, and I think I'll continue to go around that circle, like the Ouroboros Rita book. What are your thoughts, Tanner?
Yeah, it is funny how we went through this, because we're like, this isn't a big issue. You guys are dumb. This is of course before it launched. We're like, you'll just get used to it. We played for one day, and I was like, holy shit, this is the worst thing ever in Warzone. There is no getting used to this ever. We played another day. I thought the same thing. We played another day. I was like, this is still fucking annoying, but I'm starting to get more used to it. And today, actually, we played 3 games today, and today has been starting to change my mind. I'll start with
today.
I'll start with absolutely. I would love to see this reverted, not necessarily just straight how it was before. Maybe some sort of a delay still, but maybe about half the time it is now, or just no delay and make the loadout cost 20, 30,000 or something, because that's not difficult to come up with.
Yep.
Yeah. But playing right before the game, we were dropping fields like Raz was saying. And the gunfights were actually very fun because
Super
no one
fun.
had their loadouts. So it was all like these. It's like day one of Tarkov wipe. You have these long, drawn out gunfights because everyone's guns are dog shit. So you're all fighting with these trash weapons. You're just using whatever you can pick up. You're using stuns, frags. You're actually picking up lethals and tacticals, which I didn't do before, really. And then using those. And yeah, it's these fun little trash gunfights. And then you don't get, you don't have some team coming in third party with an EM2 OTS, sticky aim from 40 feet away, not missing a shot on me. So that part of it is really good. And both time we landed fields, Jake came out of there with 12 kills before the loadout even came in.
Yeah, and I had 13.
Yeah. Well, that's of course wrong. So Jake, I think the last game we played, Jake had 12 when the loadout dropped. Me, you, and Shido each had a few. So it's like we had already gotten 20 kills as a team.
Yeah.
Before we even got loadout. So that was fantastic. Then we got the loadout. Other people started pushing down into that valley. We started frying them. Jake ended, I think, with 14. I ended with 13. That was a very fun game. And, that kind of made me start changing my mind on this whole situation. So I'm starting to understand it a little bit more, but I do think it does need to change. Either decrease the timer for when that first loadout comes in, or just make it cost more off the rip. Because then another thing that's weird is you get that loadout drop and that first free loadout drop, and then we don't even go for it half the time. We're at a buy station, we buy a loadout. Every time we landed fields, we never got the free loadouts. We bought one because they were 250 meters away on the other side of the mountain. So we're like, okay, we're not going there. We're just going to buy this here and throw it. So I don't know. The gunfights today were very fun, actually. I had a blast battling over fields. Fields may be our new spot, dude. There's a lot of people going there.
And there's a lot of there's sufficient cover, but there's no. I mean, it's not downtown. There doesn't exist a building that's fucking insane like that. That's not true, actually. There are some buildings that are fucking annoying, but Fields doesn't have them. They have little straw huts. Yes. So the more I think about this, actually, I think the reason that, which is actually kind of obvious, I don't know how I didn't figure this out sooner. The reason that they disallow loadout purchases before the community one is what they're trying to do is have everyone get loadout at about the same time so that you're not dying to a loadout team without loadout yourself. So I don't think even increasing the cost would make sense, because then it would still be, okay, if it costs 20K, if we get 20K before you, we just piss and shit, cough and sneeze and vomit all over you. I think what instead they should do that would accomplish what they want, which is everyone has access to loadout at the same time, and also accomplish what most of the players want, which is loadies sooner, is just have the loadie drop sooner. So instead of after first circle, have it drop 2 or 3 minutes sooner than that. Like maybe when first circle starts closing, when the first gas starts moving or whatever, loadout drop then. Because then, and that's when, and only then you can buy it also. Because then you accomplish what the devs want, which is no one can get Lodi before anyone else, theoretically. But also we get Lodi sooner. I think that would be the compromise that would be better. Because it would serve what the devs want, which I think is fair. Because I think there is something to guaranteeing everyone loadout at the same time, because in Verdansk it was very fucking annoying landing somewhere, getting unlucky with cash, not finding enough money for a Lodi. You get pushed with a team that just bought Lodi and they have UAV and you have no chance. I have a ground loot fucking Scar H and they have an EM2 Axial 3X and TTV in their name. That isn't fun, and it's barely fair, and it's not a skillful engagement at all. So I think allowing everyone or disallowing anyone to like get Lodi before the community one, I think that's fair, but make the community one drop sooner. I think that would be a good compromise. I would actually really prefer, now I'm dead set on this, I want Lodi, community Lodi, and the ability to purchase be at the same time first circle starts closing, which would be like 2 or 3 minutes sooner than now. I think everyone would be happy with that.
When the first circle starts closing?
When the first thing of gas starts moving, yeah.
Oh.
So that's
well, that
like
happens
2 or 3
earlier
minutes.
on this than it did on Verdansk. It like that gas starts coming in at like a minute or something.
Oh, is it that soon?
Yeah, it starts coming in quicker with Caldera, but the gas moves slower. That's how all circles work now.
Oh, okay.
So there's so that wouldn't necessarily work either. But like if you're talking about compared to how Verdansk was, then I get then we can like consider it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, just sometime sooner than now. I think that would make everyone a lot happier. I think that would be best. That would be a good compromise. So I know that was a con, but we're kind of, and again, it's first impressions, guys. We're still kind of figuring out where we land on these things. So,
yeah. I had one more thing on this. Is you had said this earlier when we were playing. Like I had originally thought this wasn't good for casuals or sweats, but I think we've kind of come around on that too. And not being able to buy a loadout right away is definitely caters to casuals a lot. Because it's like these guys are fighting us. We have ground loot, they have ground loot, and then we're not absolutely frying them because we played the game a lot more and we have a loadout in 60 seconds, and then we're just absolutely rushing you. So I am definitely understanding more why they did this, because again, casuals make up 80% of their player base and most of their income, I'm sure. So that's definitely why they did this, is so people stop getting shit on by, FBGG sweats a minute and a half into the game.
yes. And they get Lodi before the casuals almost every time. And even if both teams have Lodi super early, the sweats are going to destroy them with their Lodi super early. But
yeah.
If you make everyone fight each other with ground loot, then casuals will win more often than if both teams have loadout, because the casuals could get better ground loot RNG. They pick up an NZ41 blue with a fucking red dot. I have a Klauser and he fucks my ass. Then, that can happen. So ground loot versus ground loot, the better team is still going to win more often than not, but they will win less often than loadout versus loadout, because sometimes casuals will get the better ground loot RNG. Therefore, it caters to casuals in every conceivable way. So yeah, I think that's part of the reason too. But I'm not mad about it necessarily. I kind of like allowing everyone to get Lodi at the same time. So all right, anyways, moving on here. Dead silence still exists. So there's still dead silence in the game. I don't know if you guys knew that. So this is kind of the same thing. I would say the same thing about this that I said about the audio. The audio is still dog shit. Dead silence is still in the game. That's also still dog shit. This matters less now because you're not really fighting around buildings super often. You are early game, but late game, Deady doesn't matter if I see you at 200 meters and everyone knows where you are. That's not to say Deady's never good or anything. Deady's always good to have, but I mean, it matters less. But the con is, it's still in the game, And the nerf did nothing. Dead silence was not nerfed. So we talked about this. When did we talk about this on Thursday? I think we did. Dead silence was quote unquote nerfed. It only resets once now instead of infinite times, as if that matters at all. It doesn't. So dead silence wasn't nerfed at all, and it still exists, and it still drops too often. But that's it. The con is that it's still in the game. So and it's that simple. Remove it. But it's less impactful now on this map, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's still all over the place. Less than Verdansk, I've come to realize. But I mean, since the game came out, I've probably found dead silence 12 times. So it's still a lot. It isn't like when they did the stopping power nerf and you actually would go a week of playing every day without finding it.
Yes.
And yeah, it still resets on one kill. So theoretically, you can have it up for a long time. If you pop it early, run into a building from far away, get that kill at the last second, it resets. You still have that thing up for... I don't know what the dead silence counter is, or the timer is when you pop it.
30 seconds, 15 or 30.
I think 30 is too high. I feel like it's like 15, 20 at the most. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, so it's not enough of a nerf, but yeah, it is less of an issue depending on where you land. If it's like, Capital, somewhere with a bunch of buildings, airport or runway, whatever it's called. Is it called airport? I don't know. Then, it could be an issue there in the buildings. But for us, it hasn't been a major thing. Still very annoying. They also did say they're going to monitor it throughout the season. So maybe they'll end up lowering the drop rate more. We'll have to see. And I hope they do.
Yeah, I do as well. But if they never change Deddy again, I'll be fine with it. I don't know.
Until you lose a game in downtown Capital, a guy that runs up behind your Deddy, then you'll hate it again. Yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah, I do hate it. It's just good. Yeah, I've said enough on that. Next con. Time to kill in general still seems quite fucking fast. Really fast. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think part of the reason I'm noticing this, I don't know if I'm noticing it more than Verdansk. It's probably about the same as Verdansk, but it could be the case that in Caldera, because there are more times where you're going to be caught in the open, a fast TTK is going to be more detrimental, because it's like, if I have to go from this rock to that rock and the TTK is as fast as it is now, if there aren't a bunch of buildings I can use as cover like there are in Verdansk, then a really fast TTK is going to be really sad, and you're just going to get fucking torched. I don't know. The TTK isn't faster than it was in Verdansk anymore. It's not like the Vanguard guns have made the TTK dramatically faster. Or if they have, we don't know it yet because people aren't using those things. Because an automaton certainly doesn't kill me faster than a fucking EM2 does. So that's not the case. But maybe with SMGs, certainly with shotguns, but those aren't used.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The time to kill is just still too fast. It needs to be toned down a fair bit, not too much more, but a fair bit, especially because the map is a little more open. I think having a time to kill as fast as it is now is a smidgen and a half too high. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm kind of the opposite. It feels the same or slower than what Verdansk had, in my opinion. I mean, there are certain guns like the NZ41 is still killing pretty fast, but they already nerfed that once. They'll probably continue to nerf that even more. So I don't know. Also, what you were saying about it's worse because there's not as many buildings and stuff. The thing is, there's so many little trees and little hills. Constantly, I'll be getting shot at, and I'll be one shot trying to run away, plate up, and slide around. And there will just be a tiny little hill there that gives me enough cover to lay prone and plate up and everything. So it kind of balances out. There's actually there's more cover than in a lot of areas of Verdansk if you don't have a building.
I agree with that 100%.
Think running around by Super Factory through those roads there.
Yes.
If you're running in the open in those spots, you're just absolutely fucking dead. No chance.
True.
But in this, you're running in the open. There's somewhere within 20 feet always that will give you probably enough cover to be able to plate up. So for me, it doesn't feel faster. I think almost once people get loadout guns, it almost becomes even slower too, because everyone's using a little automotin because they see it has no recoil.
Yeah, dog shit.
But
yeah.
it doesn't actually kill fast. You're just hitting all your shots. It's like the M13. It's a better M13. And so once I get hit with those, I'm like, okay, I got about 5 seconds here to, get in cover before this gun actually kills me. So I don't know. I haven't really experienced this much. I died to snake shots once. That was very fast. They are not nearly as broken as the snake shots were in Verdansk at one point, though. But they're still fucking nasty. Not a lot of people have leveled them up because they're annoying to level up because they're terrible in Vanguard multiplayer until you get that. So thankfully, I haven't been seeing those yet, but that may come into play. Let's just hope they get nerfed before it even gets to that point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Next point, shotguns. What are your thoughts? Just kidding. Shotguns are fucking obscene. Now, as we talked about in our Patreon episode, patreon.com/Dropshot, that'll be going live soon. The shotguns are fucking ridiculous, but because of this map, it's not that big of an issue because late game, I don't want a shotgun almost ever. I don't think I've had a final circle on the edge of the map yet. I'm literally not kidding. I don't think I've had a final circle in Resort or Capital or Sub Base once. It's always somewhere in the interior where there are no buildings. Like, actually. So, shotguns are fucking disgusting. This Vanguard combat shotgun is the most overpowered shotgun that's ever been in Warzone. I'm not joking. Far more than the Dragon's Breath R9. Far more overpowered. Longer range and one shot instead of two to down you fully plated. It is far better. Luckily, again, we're not on Verdansk anymore. The combat shotgun in Verdansk would be the most dog shit, trash, unplayable meta there would have ever been. I'm not joking. It would have been worse than the DMR meta. It would have been worse than the R9 meta significantly. Literally 15 to 18 meter one taps with a combat shotgun fully plated. Fucking obscene. So that's bad, obviously. However, again, like many of the cons we've talked about so far, luckily the map makes it such that being the case isn't that big of a deal, because by the time I get loadout, there are no more buildings in circle anyway, and I'd rather not have a shotgun. I'd rather have something else. I got one tap to a combat shotgun just this morning. Smile, fully plated. I had him one shot, dinked up.
Cool. Did you really?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, in fields. I know the guys in the doorway. I fucking turn, shoot him, crack his plates. He's maybe two shot. And then he shoots me in the leg. Fully plated, I'm dead. Smile.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
I do agree with you. It is probably more overpowered than any shotgun we've had in Verdansk. But the thing is just no one's using them yet because people don't have them leveled up. That's a good thing. So hopefully these just get nerfed, again, like the snake shots before it gets to the point where it's really, really bad, because people will start to figure it out soon. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a huge issue yet. Also, I think every shotgun is pretty much trash except for the combat, which is good. Like the Gracie Auto,
I think you're right.
Which was absurd in Vanguard multiplayer. A lot of that was because of the gung ho bug where you were like running at like tactical sprint speed and shooting a fully automatic shotgun. So they patched that in Vanguard. So when that came into Warzone, that was already fixed. So it's pretty much just the combat shotgun, and they can fix it by decreasing the maximum damage range by like 50%. And that would be a lot of help, because that's its biggest problem right now is it'll one tap you from very far away.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It is an easy fix. That's true. And it is only the combat shotgun that I've had a problem with. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I guess maybe I shouldn't say shotguns. I should say the combat shotgun, but it's so gross. I just can't believe it can do 250 or more damage up to literally 15 meters, maybe more. That's so stupid. Hip fired too. You don't have to ADS. I've never seen someone ADS with a combat shotgun in Warzone. It's always hip fire. One pellet hits my toe, dead smile. So anyway.
Yeah.
Next, there are a lot of rocks on this map. Many of them you can climb. Many others you cannot. And it is not super obvious which rocks you can scale and which you can't. And this is something we had talked about before this map came out. Literally exactly this, which is like in Verdansk, there are times where you're running up like towards Summit and there's just a bunch of rocks and you're like, okay, well, I know some of these rocks I can mantle and some also I know I can't mantle, but I can't discern which of these rocks is which. So I have to just YOLO for one and then jump and just hump the rock for 3 tries and then realize, oh, okay, so this is one I couldn't mantle. I guess I guessed wrong while I'm getting just reamed in the ass by an EM2 while I'm trying to figure this out, and then I die. That is also the case in Caldera. Now, I will add with a caveat, you can scale rocks more easily on this map, and you can mantle rocks that are taller in Caldera than you can in Verdansk. So for example, if a rock was 3.5 feet tall in Verdansk, 4 feet maybe, you just wouldn't be able to mantle it ever. But in Caldera, you can mantle them. That's good. But still, it is not immediately obvious which rocks you can and cannot mantle in Caldera, and that is incredibly annoying. Doubly so because there are also 80 times more rocks in Caldera than there are in Verdansk. So this hasn't been a terribly big issue for me, partially because I have a brain and I realize I should be in a vehicle at any and all possible times anyways, but it nonetheless has been an issue. So what, have you had this experience?
Yes. So to start with, all of those dumb little like those low angled long sets of like rocks and small little boulders and shit that were on Verdansk that you just couldn't jump over when you always thought you could. So they're like, you know, the little rock face starts at 6 inches. The rock face goes for, 10, 15 feet, and it goes from 6 inches tall to, 2 feet tall at the end, but you should still be able to jump up on the shorter side, right? You still can't do that on this map. So you can't get over a very low angled 1 foot rock. You'll just be jumping and jumping and you can't get over it. But then if you come up to a 3 foot tall face, that's just a straight fucking rock wall that you can mantle over. So it's still annoying. It still needs a lot of work. Another issue I keep seeing is you kind of just have to learn to actually go around a lot of these instead of going over them. So I keep trying to go over them.
Paths.
And like you get to a point where like there's some rocks like there's little rivers going around them kind of. So I'm like, oh, let me just try to go up and over this. So I start climbing. I'm like, oh, cool. I can get up here. Then you get up to a point and you keep trying to jump and jump and jump and you just can't get up anything else. So then what do I have to do? I have to jump off the whole damn thing and run around anyways. And I just wasted a bunch of my time dicking around.
Sorry, wrong button.
So it needs to be, they need to design these little hills, mountains, rocks so much that if I can't get over it, basically, then don't let me climb it at all. Don't let me even mantle on it and like kind of make myself think I can get over it. Because you start mantling it and then I'm like, okay, it looks like maybe I can go between these 2 rocks. And then you think you would, you get up to it, you jump 8 times, it doesn't let you up. Just get off the thing and run around. Cool. Thanks for wasting 30 seconds when I could have been rotating earlier. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So that needs to be changed. I think they need to add more zip lines around too on these rock faces. I know it like it doesn't really, I don't know if they're trying to go for like a realistic feeling map, but to make it play better, there needs to be more of these because there are some like a certain waterfalls and stuff that are very tall. You can zip up them, but there needs to be a lot more of those around the map. And I am hopeful and think they will do that because I mean they added zips into Verdansk at a point and then they added more in later. So hopefully we'll get more of those at some point because a lot of these rocks need it, I think. Yeah. Or just even kind of to be like redesigned so you can mantle up on something and then maybe between 2 giant boulders there's like a little pathway just enough to fit your character through so you don't have to like, try to climb over anything else.
Yeah, or even more gondolas too. That would be an option. Because
there's only is there only one gondola?
I think there's like one like station, so there's like
which
two,
is on like the south side
track.
of Peak. Yeah, it's like the southeast side, I think.
Yeah, because I like gondolas. I mean, zips I would prefer, but I like gondolas too because they offer a surefire way to get up somewhere, but it's not like you want to take a gondola.
And no one uses them. I haven't seen anyone on a gondola yet.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a good reason for that, is because like you're kind of fucked if someone knows you're there. So it's like that would be a good, risk reward kind of thing to do, where it's like, all right, well, climbing this is going to be real tough. I have to go for the gondola, but I don't want to. I'd prefer to run up, but I don't have time anymore. Like that. So that would be a good thing too. But more zip lines is a good idea. That I would like that as well. And yeah, I was thinking that too, Jeff. Imagine if they had Apex zips that moved laterally. Jeff PM said that in our live stream chat at the dropshot.com/live, by the way. Make it your homepage. That would be nice too. Like some lateral zips. Like imagine if the gondola where it is now was instead a zip, and you could just press it and just go up or down. That would be cool too. I don't see them ever doing that, but that would be nice. That'd be really nice, actually. But yeah. So the rocks suck. Next, the choppers. So, two things about the chopper. Number one, it seems to be slower than the old chopper.
Wrong.
Got it. Number two, it has guns on it now. So, we've tried mounted machine guns on the sides of choppers. This is iteration number 3 or 4, at least 3. So pros, seems like you can't go invisible from them anymore. So they finally fucking figured it out. So good job, guys. Only took you 3 or 4 tries. I think 4. So smile. And also another pro of them is that they're dog shit. You're not going to shoot an individual character with this machine gun. It has the worst hit reg ever. And I'm thrilled about that. It should have dog shit hit reg. The con, though, is that if you're in a vehicle and someone's flying a chopper above you, your vehicle's gone. Because the hit reg is bad, but it's going to hit your Bertha every single shot. I mean, it's not that bad. So you're just going to torch every, land vehicle with ease, by the way. And you're not even going to have to expend ammo to do it. I think the fact that you can fly vertically in a helicopter is advantage enough. You don't need to also give those vehicles the advantage of 2 belt-fed infinite ammo machine guns on the sides, where you can completely ruin any and every vehicle on the ground in front of you at no cost to you. I mean, it doesn't expend your ammo. It's easy to do. It's risk-free. It's even less risk than if you were just sitting on the side of a chopper as if it were Verdansk before, because you have some cover with the gun itself. So I don't know why they've added these to the sides of choppers. I don't understand the reason for it. Helicopters are more advantaged than Bertha because they can fly, and that's especially important on this map, which is entirely vertical. So helicopters are already way better on this map than Verdansk, even if you didn't add infinite ammo machine guns onto them, 2 of them. But then you also did add 2 machine guns on each side of the helicopter, and I simply don't understand why. So luckily that you're not going to die if you're on the ground to someone shooting these machine guns. They can't hit you. They don't work.
Yeah.
They just have insane bloom, I guess. Which is fine. I'm happy about that. But you can't drive under them. If you see a chopper and you're in a car, get out. Because they will blow your car up quickly. Like real quick. So that's really dumb. Don't know why they did it. Maybe they did it because if you're in a chopper and you want to shoot your actual gun, only one of you can. You have to be the passenger seat. There aren't other seats. There's only 4 seats. 2 of them are the guns. One of them's the pilot. So maybe they didn't want people in the chopper to be able to shoot people underneath them running around with their guns. So they instead added the machine guns with insane bloom that made that impossible. Maybe that was their thought process. That would be There would be some arguments to why that might be good, actually. But ultimately, I don't think this is the way. Because then you just can't drive under them. I don't know, though, actually. I'm kind of thinking more about this now. What do you think, Tanner?
I don't think it's just I don't think it's bloom on the machine guns. There's just no hit reg when you're in a helicopter ever and you're up in the air. I swear the best hit reg you get is when you're sniping from a helicopter. I've gotten so many one taps from people when I'm using a Swiss on the side of a helicopter. If you fire a fully automatic AR at someone not moving, just none of the bullets hit. It's like by the time you fire, the bullets leaving your gun to the video game thinks your bullets leaving the gun when you were 3 feet back on the chopper, so they're all just missing. I don't know. It just feels so bad, I think. And so that's how these machine guns are too. So I would absolutely love for these to be taken out. I would rather sit on the side of it. And just not be able to shoot anything. Just be sitting there with my with my little fists out or something, than be forced to use one of these terrible miniguns that makes me nauseous because it lowers your field of view to 40. And then anytime the chopper moves, it swings your gun automatically. It doesn't hold the position you were looking at. It's just a disaster. I've noticed every time we go for a chopper, I feel like it's this unspoken thing where everyone's running and trying to get that passenger seat. And then the people that don't get the passenger seat are stuck on the ridiculous guns. And I'm like, dude, I'd rather walk than use these guns. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're balanced enough in that sense. They do kill vehicles quick. Yeah, but like Cool said in chat, they do overheat quickly. So it's you're not killing a vehicle with the first burst ever. It's going to take a few bursts to be able to kill it because of the overheating. So really, it's definitely balanced enough, in my opinion. And yeah, there's just zero hit reg on people that are on the ground. So, and also, I don't think the choppers move any slower. They feel exactly the same to me. I don't know. I mean, exactly the same. They feel slower to me. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe your brain's slower. I don't know. Well, I am old and dying, so yeah, I don't know. But, interesting. Yeah. If they wanted to prevent people being able to shoot their actual guns out of a chopper, they could take out the guns and not allow passenger seat to shoot out. Only allow the people on the sides, so only 2 max. That would be another way, if that's what they were trying to accomplish. Yeah, you can't shoot real well out of the passenger seat anyways, because it's half of what you're seeing is the control panel of the helicopter. Yes, so I mean, you can see stuff, but not as much. Yeah. What's up, buddy? Were you gonna say something? Say something? Okay. All right. And then last con here, Tanner, take us through this. So a lot of people I noticed are starting to land Peak. It seems to be one of the hot drops. We thought it was going to be the good hot drop location as well. We've been landing there. I think Peak is an absolute bait to land at with the current loadout system. So we're not getting fried there. Every time we land Peak, we clear it out and then we're the only people left. We kill a couple squads, maybe a few, or the last people jump off, and then we're just up there by ourselves. But then you get put in this weird position when you fight there, where after you're okay, the circle doesn't close for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Do we jump off the Peak and ruin this positioning before we get the next circle location just so we can fight a team with our ground loot guns and maybe die to them? Or do we sit up here, wait for the loadout to come, buy a loadout, throw it, jump off Peak, maybe get the second loadout, get Ghost, restock, whatever you're running. And then, if that happens to also land on Peak, then jump off, start going where you want to go and fight with your loadout. It just puts you in this weird position, I think, that actually makes you play slower, kind of, is what it seems. So I don't know. I would recommend people not drop there, honestly. It just, unless if the loadout change gets reverted and you can buy one right away, I think Peak is going to be a very good spot. Exactly. Buy your loadout right away, drop anywhere on the map, get on top of people. But it's just, it's such a bait right now because you end up just wasting time or just floating to a team and then dying and then never even getting your loadout and then having to requeue again. Yes, true. And you said it yourself. Peak would be an insane, because if you're on top Peak, you can parachute to literally everywhere on the map. Yep. Literally every single corner of the map you can get to from Peak. It's that high.
But with the loadout change, you land peak, you get ground loot. What are you going to do? Like, sometimes your community loadout, well, you could control the buy up there. I mean, there still is a reason to land peak, actually, now that I think about it more. You could land peak, control peak, wait for Lodi to drop, and then if it's not dropping with you, if there's a buy station at peak, buy your own loadout, and then you're on top of peak with your loadout, you're all sniping, and you can just like control and then go to wherever you want. That actually is a fair strategy, actually. So yeah, I take back what I was going to say. But it is extremely hot. It is extremely hot landing there. So that is something you need to consider. But I think it still actually could be a really good strategy to land there, control it. As long as there's a buy, which I think there always is, because there's like a lot of potential spawns.
There's always a buy
peak,
up there.
Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So if you can like land peak, control it, and then wait till Lodi drops, hope it drops up there, but if it doesn't, you just buy one yourself, and then you're on top peak, 4 of you are sniping, and you just fucking run the map. Stay there as long as you want, and then whenever you have to rotate, you can just yeet off and go literally, again, wherever you want. I think that is worth doing. The bait part of it is that it's extremely hot, and, you know, hopefully you get good ground loot, because if you don't, you're going to die. And you have to get very good ground loot because you're going to have to fight at least 2 other teams. You're going to have to wipe at least 2 other teams. Like, there's so many people land peak so many times.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. It's like, then the other thing is, if you wipe it, no one ever pushes up to peak. So no one will push you. Once you clear it off the rip, you won't see another team until you jump off it. So that's also why it feels slower when you land. If they're very hot off the rip, but if you win those battles, then it's just slow, and it's just a waiting game and figuring out how you want to make the next move.
Pushing
you're an
peak
idiot if you push it.
Yeah, it's real. It's a real.
You
toughie.
100% need a vehicle to do it, and even with the chopper, by the time they'll see you flying in from so far away, they'll probably still be aiming down on you when you're in a chopper coming up the mountain because it's so tall. So you can just get fried easily.
Exactly. Pushing peak is hard, not because there's like only one choke point, because there are a ton of ways to get up to peak. There's like a lot of different ways, even if you don't have a vehicle. So it's not hard because it's a super power position with only one choke point, like the top of prison where there's the one staircase. That's not why it's hard. It's hard because no matter where you come from, they'll probably see you. So if you wanted to push peak and you could guarantee they won't see you coming, it's actually quite easy to push. There's a ton of different ways you could do it. What makes it difficult is that it's very easy to see anyone pushing peak, no matter where you're trying to push from. And they'll see you coming from far away. And then it's impossible because they know you're there and they have high ground on you. That's what makes it tough. It's not so much that it's got like chokes. So
agreed.
Yeah. Now we're getting into the pros. Things we like about season 1.
Fucking pro.
Which is mostly, of course, Caldera. But there's more to talk about than just that, right? So, again, in no particular order. First and foremost, and most importantly, more importantly than anything else could possibly be in a first-person shooter game, right? The visibility is, as expected, much better than Verdansk, dude. Significantly better than Verdansk. As we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, toward the beginning, there's no real need to run NVIDIA filters, which is nice because running those filters reduces your frame rate. So now you can just not use them because you're able to see enemy players on this map. I don't think once yet I have died to someone who's on my screen, but I don't see them. That hasn't happened to me yet, which is outrageous because if I play Verdansk, that'll happen to me once per match. Not really. It'll happen to me once per session for sure, though, where someone's on my screen and they're just not there. I just don't see them. And then I die. That has not yet happened to me on Caldera, which would be inconceivable for me to have played this long in Verdansk and had that not happen to me. So the visibility is just significantly better in terms of functionally being able to see other players, which is excellent. And also, by the way, like the bush camping worries, complaints. Maybe it's because it's quads right now, but I have not once like died to someone like camping in a bush and like not seen them. That's never happened. I have one time. We were playing quads. Once again, all my dog shit teammates were dead. It was me versus 4 other people because my dog shit trash teammates all died. And then I was the last one alive, making a valiant effort, a last stand. I'm about to crank a 90 on this kid with my Swiss K31 pre-nerf. And then I ADS. I swear to God, this was a guaranteed headshot. And then there's a big frond in my face. Just my entire screen was a vibrant green leaf. And then I, of course, couldn't see him.
Oh, that was your fault.
Wrong.
You saw that bush in front of you. The bush was right in front of you. What do you think's going to happen when
I
you
sure
zoom
did
in
see it. That's
8
all I
times
saw,
on
in
it?
fact. That's the problem, isn't it, Tanner?
Let's pull out let's get out a fucking magnifying glass so you can inspect the leaf. I mean, what are you trying to do with it, dude?
Anyways.
You're so dumb.
It
was your fault. You lost us that game.
You were dead. Stay dead. That was annoying, but beyond that, the visibility is functionally, again, much improved over Verdansk. And additionally, just from an aesthetic kind of point of view, the map looks better. It looks more pleasing to my eyeballs. That's another pro, because Verdansk was either gray or brown and depressing. It was overcast. It was depressing. It looked like Seattle. It looked probably what I imagined Chaz looked like, right? So it was just depressing and sad. But this map is not depressing and sad. It looks good. It's appealing. I like it. There are colors. It looks fun and interesting and vibrant. In addition to actually being able to see people, which is, of course, fantastic. So this is the biggest pro. Obviously, being able to see other people in a first-person shooter. What are your thoughts on the visibility?
Yeah, so the visibility's better, I think, but also, I don't know, the more I play out in these trees and whatnot, the more I'm not really seeing people that well.
Really?
But I think that'll change more once people start running different operators and stuff. Because right now it's like everyone's running like default operators, which any default operator is the meta in this game. But once, we have some ridiculous fucking outfits where you're glowing dark matter or something, like was in Verdansk, that one Cold War operator that had that stupid outfit. Once people start running that, it'll also make it easier to see people. Or when these little rats run their white CDL skins, I can easily see them. But sometimes out in these forests and whatnot, you just can't. So, I mean, I've been losing people so much that I've been running Combat Scout, actually, to be able to see them
Combat
easier,
Scout
pretty much.
so hard.
Combat Scout's been fucking on this, because the thing, to kind of to go a little somewhere different real quick, like the thing is with Verdansk, you shoot someone with Combat Scout, they're going to run into a building. With this, you shoot someone with a Combat Scout, they're running through bushes, so you can still see them and still shoot them. So that's making it even better on this map.
Very true.
But yeah, so overall, the map looks absolutely gorgeous. The colors are great. It doesn't, like Verdansk gives you seasonal depression because it feels like it's the middle of the winter with just no snow. When you look at the sky, this doesn't do that at all. It feels like I'm living life on an island, brother. I mean, it's just feeling fucking great.
We will edit that out, and I apologize to anyone here live.
So like parts of the map, like Resort, Capital, oh my goodness, beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
Well designed, cute, fancy.
Real cute.
There's that, dude, in the Vanguard mode, there was that little stupid thing going around by Capital. What are those things called?
Oh, the trolley, the tram?
The little trolley, dude.
Yeah, that thing fucks.
I don't know if that's in regular VR or if that was just a Vanguard thing, but that little trolley, that is cute. It goes through on this little line. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, man. It feels like the Roaring 40s. Is that what they called it? No, it's the Roaring 20s. Yeah, got it. Well, fuck the 20s. But yeah, so overall, map looks really, really good. I'm happy with it. Way better than Verdansk in that sense. Color is fantastic. Yeah, a lot better.
I mean, I hear you about your visibility concerns. People do run behind bushes and then you can't see them. But what I mean is, like, if you're behind a bush and there are bushes in front of you, from my perspective, then I shouldn't be able to see you because you're not on my screen, even though you're shootable. In the same way that if you were behind, like a plank wooden fence, it's like I can shoot you, but I can't. You're not actually on my screen, even though you're damageable on my screen.
Yeah.
And if you're behind something and I can't see you, that's what I would not expect to be able to see people that are behind things. That's not that's not my concern with visibility. What I mean is, like, in Verdansk, they would be in front of a bush and I can't see them. They should be visible, but they're not. But on Caldera, if they're in front of the bush, I will see them. But there are, of course, more bushes. I agree with you on that, obviously. And I will add, this is kind of, as you mentioned, kind of whatever, unrelated, but it is worth mentioning. Combat Scout, real fucking good in Caldera. If you are not sniping, I think Combat Scout is simply better than Amped. Because one of the reasons Amped is so important in Verdansk is 70% of your fights are in a building, so it's you switching to your secondary quickly and needing to do that and throw lethals and tacticals in a building where every millisecond counts, getting those things out of your hand.
That's a good point.
And so that switching to your secondary in a timely fashion is super important when there are so many buildings. But on Caldera, it's like, with how far away and how open these gunfights are, you don't need the extra 100 milliseconds swap speed. You have time. Like, and so that you're almost not losing anything running Amped most of the time. You have plenty of time to switch to your secondary. And despite that, you're going to switch to your secondary in general less often in Caldera, because most of your gunfights, you're going to be using your primary.
Yeah.
So for those two reasons, Amped becomes less important, making Combat Scout more attractive. And that's not to mention Combat Scout is also better on this map than Verdansk because of what you were saying. Everyone's outside, you're behind bushes, so you can't see them, but they're still bangable. Well, not even bangable, just shootable. But and so if you have Combat Scout, they're lit up and you can just keep firing at them. So yeah, I would recommend all of you try Combat Scout on your AR classes. I would not recommend it for a sniper. It's probably fine for sniping. It's just going to do so much less for you than it will with an AR.
Yeah. Anything with a using Combat Scout with a non-fully automatic gun is never going to be as good. Yeah. It's like, even if you tag them once with a sniper, then it's like, okay, by the time you rechamber around and are ready to fire again, they probably won't even be lit up on Combat Scout anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And with a sniper, it is still integral to be able to swap ASAP, because sometimes it won't happen often, but you will get surprised sometimes in Caldera.
Yeah. And
you need to be able to get off the sniper if someone's inside you with a piss boy, a PPSH. So
yeah, pissy boy.
So this is a controversial take, I think. And I've seen, this is a contentious topic, and I've seen people on both sides of the proverbial fence on this. I view this as a pro, though. There was a change with Season 1 where if you win the gulag, you come back with whatever you had in the gulag. Okay. Now, hot take, this is a good change. This is a good change. Now, why do people dislike this change? Dude, it's so dumb, man. I was fucking on a roof, on one of the two roofs on this map, and I was like shooting people. And then someone came back from Gulag with a fucking DP-27 iron sight and destroyed me. Hey, that's your fault and you're dog shit. It's not like coming back from the Gulag, even with your Gulag weapon, puts you in an advantageous position over someone who's been on the map, has a satchel, has full equipment, has all the ammo they want, probably has loadout, versus some guy with one mag, 2 plates, not 3, no backup ammo, random lethal, random tactical. If you lose to him and your complaint is, I shouldn't have lost and his gulag gun was too good for me, hey, listen to the announcer when he says enemy dropping in, number one, use your eyeballs, turn on your speakers, turn up your TV speakers, because you play on TV speakers if you have this take, and also shoot better. I mean, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? So I like the ability to come back with your Gulag weapon, because if you do win Gulag late and you're dropping in to third circle, whatever, you at least have a chance when you have your Gulag weapons to get a kill on someone. You're still going to be wildly disadvantaged, but not as disadvantaged as if you were coming back with a 1911. So I think this is a good change, and something that was the case in Verdansk. If you won Gulag late game, it almost didn't matter. There were times in Verdansk where I won the Gulag and I was like, okay, it literally doesn't matter, because this final circle is east of Lumber, just in some hills. I have no cover. I can't get to this loadout drop, and I have a pistol with 9 rounds and 2 plates. I'm completely fucked. You might as well have not allowed me to respawn from the Gulag. This is dumb. Whereas in those situations, if I had come back with my Gulag guns, I would still be wildly disadvantaged, but at least there would be a chance for me to regain, and the Gulag would not have been a pointless exercise. I think this was a great change. I'm a big fan of it. And if you're coughing, sneezing, and vomiting all over yourself because you died to someone who just came out of Gulag with a fucking Gulag Owen gun, then play better and do better and be better at the game. I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't lose to that guy. And it's that simple. What are your thoughts on this?
I think you said you come back with 2 plates or something. If I'm not mistaken, you come back from the Gulag with no plates, don't you?
I think you have 2 on you. Just like...
Do you?
Yeah, if you're bought back, you have 2 equipped already. That's the case,
But the way this Gulag also works, though, is if you like use your stun or some shit in the Gulag, then you don't have that when you land. So I thought it was the same thing for plates. I don't know. Either way,
that's possible. Actually, you might be right.
I'll have to pay attention more to that. I don't know. If anyone in chat can confirm that and let us know. Either way, I don't really know.
If you don't have plates, then that's even more to my point.
Exactly.
Which is,
yeah.
So go on.
Which I thought that's how it was, but maybe I'm wrong.
You could be right. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're complaining about this, then straight up, I mean, you get the notification that the guy's dropping in. You know someone's landing. You should be thinking, okay, this guy may have... Because there's an NZ41 that you get in the Gulag. That's like the best Gulag gun, probably. It's like a green NZ. But they're going to drop in with like 1 magazine. Probably no lethal, because they probably already use it in the Gulag. They're not going to be fully plated. If you don't, one, hear them landing, see them landing, and think to look up at the sky and start marking them and going and fighting them right away before they start looting, then that's your fault that you're dumb and lost that gunfight. Yes. Absolutely. I love this change. I don't see why people would complain about it. Doesn't make any sense to me. I think this is great for the flow of the game. It makes winning the Gulag a lot more important, and it actually, it gives you the ability to regain and, try to take fights that you otherwise wouldn't, but you're still going to be at a disadvantage every single time.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm not understanding. And this is a controversial take. You're absolutely right. I've seen more people say they don't like this than I've seen people say they do like it. So
really,
it doesn't make any fucking sense. There's a bunch of people in our Discord. I think half the people we play with don't like this change, but I don't know. They're still severely disadvantaged.
And we are making a list. You are on the naughty list.
You're on the hit list. Yeah. Whoever doesn't like that and complains about it, you're on the hit list for sure.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, meaning we'll never play with you again, get shit on. So I like this change a lot.
Yeah, same, for sure. Yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy you've seen more people who dislike it than like it. I've seen like about 50-50 if I had to guess. But yeah, a lot of people don't. I don't know. I think it's great. I think it's good. So, all right, next. The games typically start in buildings around the edges of the map. Then as people get loadout, the circle closes inland toward mid where there are no buildings. You're forced away from the buildings, meaning most loadout versus loadout fights take place outside, and indeed, most fights, period, take place outside without buildings. And I fucking love it. So, by the way, hey, let's talk about galaxy brains. What did I fucking say when on the first time we got the topography of this map on the interior of some 17-year-old's jacket? I predicted this.
She's like 35, but yeah.
Whatever. I predicted this. I was like, here's what's going to happen. People are going to want to land at buildings to get loot, to get money, and then they're going to start coming inland where there are no buildings, and then everything's going to take place outside. Turns out that's exactly how these games are going, and I love it, dude. It is so fun. It is so much better. It is so nice not dying to someone on the roof of hospital and having no chance in hell, no chance on God's green earth of winning that fight because they're on top of hospital. It is awesome. I love it. It plays exactly as I expected it to, and it makes every fight feel quite fair. Now, that's not to say that there is not an advantage to being farther inland than your opponents, because what that means almost always is that you have more high ground on them. You would still rather have high ground in this game. However, as Tanner mentioned earlier, there is cover all over this map in the form of rocks and shrubs and trees and little straw huts. And therefore, even if you are further down the hill than someone else, you're not without hope. There is going to be some cover, but you'd rather be up the hill. But nonetheless, that is a lot more fun and fair of a fight and skillful of a fight than one person on top of hospital and then another person not on top of hospital. And that just makes it infinitely more fun. Just wrenches the skill gap like the jaws of death, just wrenches the skill gap wide the fuck open. It makes the fights more dynamic, more engaging, more skill dependent, more aim dependent, and therefore more fun. And this is always the case, almost, as the games go on. The fights take more and more and more place outside, and it's fan-fucking-tastic. I love how they designed this map. I don't know if this was, in fact, by design. They could have stumbled into this phenomenon, but if it was by design, which it really seems like it was, so credit to whoever made this map, whatever development studio made this map, because it seems like they did it on purpose. Toys for Bob, yeah. It seems like they did it on purpose, and it works exceedingly well, in my opinion, and I'm loving it. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so for one, it's fun like learning a new map in general, because it just feels like weird right now, because like we take these fights and like we clear the area out, and then I start looking at like where the edge of the circle is, and I start moving there, and then I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at, and I have to pull the map up. I'm like, holy shit, I had no idea we were fighting. Like earlier we had moved in from where the gas was coming, or one of the last times I played, and all of a sudden I was like, why is there a giant runway here? I didn't even know I was at airport yet. So it's just kind of fun in general, like learning a new map like that and trying to figure all of it out. But overall, I also enjoy fighting like this. It feels so much like the OG PUBG map, like the fights you take for that. And I think it's going to take not as much gun skill probably as like clearing buildings or something takes in Verdansk, but it's going to take more thought and brain power to make like proper rotations, proper positioning, which is, you know, how a BR should be in my opinion. It's like, I think I said this maybe in the Patreon episode we recorded yesterday or something, but like I was playing trios with Pop and Jake, and Pop and I were dead and Jake was alone, and he was able to literally 1v4 squad wipe this team on the side of a mountain on these little like back and forth roads. Why can I not think of the name? switchbacks, because he just outplayed them because he had a bigger brain than them. Like they would run up the switchback thinking he was there. He would drop down on the next switchback and he'd run around the corner going back up again. They were just blended, looking the other direction. You know, he'd down one, jump down 2 levels on the switchback, kill another guy, and it just confuses them. So like being able to do shit,
favorite, that's impossible.
Exactly. And so being able to do shit like that is going to favor the person who just has more game sense in general and knows how to play a BR and how to have positioning and stuff. So I think that's good to have in a game like this. But just like all in all, it's just very fun having to learn a different map. Because if we got a map that was similar to Verdansk in the sense that it was flat, a lot of buildings and shit, it still would have been fun because it would have been a new map, but it would have felt like you're playing the same shit, kind of like this feels like a new BR almost because of the way you have to think and move your dumb little character in the video game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for sure. I agree. It would feel pretty fresh and fun for the novelty, no matter what, even if this was another urban hellscape like Verdansk, but luckily it's not. So for those 2 reasons, in fact, this is a lot of fun. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said for sure. And yeah, like that outplay, like if there's 4 people on top favorite and you're trying to 1v4 them, it almost doesn't matter how bad they are. You're dead. 4v1, I don't care how much better you are than them. You lost. Unless they all jump off the roof. Then you can maybe do it. But other than that, it's just not possible. Whereas on this map, like no such area exists besides the edges of the map where that is possible. So yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, but yeah, it's just like, it's fun learning how to play. Before the pod, we lost a game because you and I both got greedy and we jumped off that mountain trying to kill that squad, and we killed them, and then we got fucked from the zone because we weren't used to that part of the map. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know there was like little mountains there, and we just couldn't get out of the gas in time. So it's like, you know, it's fun dying that way actually and learning how to play these different areas, because that's going to take, I mean, it'll take months to learn all the little parts on this map, because it's not like you're in downtown and you run up a building and there's 400 of those exact buildings on the map. It's all sorts of different, you know, rock faces, little shacks, you know, places with zip lines. Just, it'll be very fun learning all of this for this next few months or so.
The next 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I just mean like till we like learn it more.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It'll take longer to learn than Verdansk, I think.
Yeah, probably actually, because when you have landmarks in Verdansk, you can kind of compartmentalize each area. Like, okay, this is Boneyard, this is Storage Town. But in Caldera, there's the POIs on the edges, and then there's like mid, which is like 70% of the map, and there's no real POIs. There's just like shit going on, you know?
And then look at like Promenade East in Verdansk. There's 12 buildings that are exactly the same.
True.
You know, it's just like you push up those same exact buildings and clear them one by one if there's teams in it, or try to clear them. Whereas on this, every little part is different. The mountains are different. There seems to be a decent amount of like shacks and shit that are different from one another. But in terms of like just like the actual landscape being outside, it's going to take a lot longer to learn all that.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, for sure. What is this next point here?
I thought that's kind of where we were.
Yeah,
go
ahead. Whatever.
Yeah, just like fighting outside in these trees, I think is just more fun in general, because it's like, you know, any shitter can attempt to hold a staircase in Verdansk and, you know, try to hold off the team, lay prone at the top of the stairs, they run up, you start downing them. But this just takes overall more skill, thought, and positioning to figure out your next move. And that's what I've seen a lot of the big longtime BR players like Iron has been saying. He's like, dude, this actually
20 wins in a row.
Yeah, he was like, this actually feels like a BR map. It's giving me Erangel vibes, which is the original PUBG map. Obviously, you know, they all want to see a few tweaks here and there, but it really does feel totally different. Positioning matters even more. Big brain, you know, big brain power matters more than ever. So
yeah, he won 20 in a row, no recons too, by the way.
Day one, yeah, it was like him, Shaded, Yeet, I think. I don't know, but it was a crazy
Yeet's
squad.
fucking nasty probably Devious maybe, I don't know. Yeet is fucking nasty. by the way, dude. I was watching him. I followed him for a while, but I hadn't really watched him much. But like last night I was watching him, or this morning, last night I was watching him, and I was like, fuck, this guy's nasty, dude. And super big brain too. Like their comms are just insane and how they play. But yeah, like on a map like this, it's not as simple as, okay, let's go to the strongest building in this circle and then go to the roof of it and then wait for the next circle, smile. Like there's no dynamism. It's not fun. But on this map, it's like wherever the circle is, it's like, dude, there are no buildings in this next giant circle. So now where's the best position? Probably as high up as you can get, sure. But then it's like not always, and like getting there is more difficult. And yeah, for sure. And then what do we have next here? Yeah, so next thing is, So one hot topic since Caldera came out was the question of, is there bloom for these Vanguard weapons in Warzone like there is in Vanguard multiplayer? And then we found out the answer is yes. And then 20 minutes later, Raven patched the game and they said, we've significantly reduced bloom for all weapons, and also we're going to entirely eliminate it imminently soon. TM.
Yep.
So first of all, fantastic. That's great. There shouldn't be bloom, especially in Warzone. It would be really bad. And yeah, we've talked about that. And we talked about it a lot in our latest Patreon episode, patreon.com/Dropshot. Best way to support the show. 5 bonus episodes a month. So once bloom is removed, I think the gun balance among the Vanguard weapons is actually pretty good right now. And one of the big reasons for that is that these Vanguard weapons, some of them, have notable amounts of recoil. So there's like the MG42, which has so much recoil that it's unusable, right? That's not what I mean.
There are no recoil setups for it already. I've seen
really?
A couple.
Okay.
Yeah, like no recoil.
So it is possible that you can make every Vanguard weapon have no recoil. If that's true, then it dispense with this point. I don't know yet because it hasn't been out long enough, so I don't know. But so far, it seems to me like there are some weapons that you can't build to have zero recoil. Unlike Cold War weapons, when Agency and Field Agent were first changed to reduce all recoil. That was not fun. And it seems to me like for Vanguard weapons, it is not possible to make every weapon have zero recoil. That is one facet of my overall point, being that the weapon balance and pros and cons spread among Vanguard weapons in Warzone seems pretty decent. Because you might want to use like the Volk because it has a faster theoretical TTK than an automaton. But the downside is it has more recoil, so you have to be a more skilled player to use it. So then it's like, do you want the faster theoretical TTK, but it's harder to use? Go with this. But if you want a free gun, go with that. It would be similar to when the Kilo and AMAX were in the meta. They both had real pros and cons. If you were more skilled in general, you'd favor the AMAX because you could get faster TTKs. But the downside was it was harder to use, so you had to be good enough to use it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, again, if that's the case with Vanguard weapons right now. It might be possible to have every gun have no recoil, just like you could for Cold War guns. I'm not sure. But so far, it does not seem that way. It seems like we will have weapons where they will kill faster, but you can't give them zero recoil. It's not possible. And that is really good. And I really like that. I really liked the dichotomy of AMAX or Kilo. What do you prefer? Being able to hit every single bullet or having a way faster TTK potential, but sometimes you can whiff and just lose because you're shit. I like that.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like the Vanguard weapons have so far. But again, we don't know yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, and we can tell they've already been on top of weapon balancing. The guns came in 100 times better than when the Cold War guns were implemented. I mean, they have the guns in a better spot right now than Infinity Ward ever had with anything, right?
True.
So, they've done a pretty good job so far. Raven, that is. I think there will be some changes with. I've noticed like the automaton, automoton. I was using earlier. I put on. There's a scope for it that's a variable 3x and then 6x. I could use the 6x thing for that thing. I used a bunch of recoil attachments, even though the gun doesn't have that much recoil, just so when you're zoomed in with the 6x, it still has none. And that thing still ADSs faster than an EM2 meta setup has ever ADS.
Wow.
And it has absolutely zero recoil. So I think some things like that need more of a trade-off. Like if the gun's going to have like no recoil, maybe, then that ADS needs to be hit. And I had probably 3 attachments on there that decreased ADS speed. I think my barrel did, the scope did, no, 4 attachments. My suppressor did,
Underbarrel.
and my foregrip. Yeah, all of those says they reduced aim down sight speed. The thing still ADS'd very, very fast. So
yeah,
I think we'll need to see some balancing like that, but maybe we will end up finding out that every gun can be set up with low recoil, because there's the PPSH build that actually has a negative recoil. It doesn't go up at all. You shoot and it goes slightly down. But it's like that. I believe for that setup, or for a lot of these no recoil setups, you have to go caliber down. So then the gun doesn't do as much damage. So then you do kind of have a trade-off there, but then the fire rate's higher. So it's kind of difficult to figure out how to balance all these things with stuff like that, the caliber options and the bullet types. But yeah. I think they've done a pretty good job so far, and I'm impressed with all of it. They need better ground loot, by the way. Did we even say that in a con?
No.
The ground loot is terrible. These Galaxy Brain gunsmith gurus
are fucking morons.
Yeah. I mean, even actually, I think the best setups are the ones that have less attachments. Like the green NZ41 is the best one in my opinion. I mean, I guess that other one that I think is purple and it has the variable scope. That one's good too, but the STG iron sight, like those have no recoil and those are good setups. But once they start adding attachments actually to a lot of these, they make them worse.
Actually true.
Yeah. And then of course there's some really shit ones like the ground loot machine pistol that goes to the sky. That one is like blue or purple or something and has a bunch of attachments on it too.
One of them's legendary and it's unusable.
Yeah. So, give us better ground loot and way more variety of ground loot. I don't know why there only has to be like 15 ground loot variants. There should be 50 different ground loot guns that are possible to spawn, right? I mean, give me way more variations.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And also, I think the devs should be prohibited from putting on any optic on any gun except a NIDAR. Because
a NIDAR car?
I don't know what we're doing. I mean, there's a purple MG42 with like a fucking 8x scope on it that has too much recoil to use that gun with irons, let alone fucking zoomed in 20 times. What are we doing? The devs should just not be allowed to put on optics, because that gun might actually be fine with irons, but then they ruin it by putting on an optic. They shouldn't be allowed to put optics on guns. They shouldn't be allowed to design any ground loot, actually. You're right. And it is often the case that the best ground loot has no attachments, because they just manage to fuck it up when they put things on. Cool. Real Galaxy Brain, real meta forward. It's just it's crazy to me. And this is, again, I will remind you guys each and every chance I get of this. They don't play their own game. Because you don't make that fucking MG42, any of them, and put them in the game if you've ever used it once ever. If you've ever shot the gun once, you would say, oh, wait, hold on, stop. We need to go way back to the drawing board on this, because this is unusable. I'd rather have fists. I'd rather try and just like throw a throwing knife that at 40 meters than try to shoot a fucking any ground loot MG, especially any with an optic. So yeah, cool. Yeah, Galaxy Brain, all right. Hey, test your game once. Thanks. Anyways. I do think they'll get it right, though. Not the ground loot. I don't think they'll ever get the ground... The ground loot's almost never been good, so they're never going to get the ground loot right. But the Vanguard weapon balance between guns, I think, hopefully maybe will be pretty good. That's kind of what the sense I'm getting now. But I'm very, I am not wedded to this idea at all, because it is indeed totally possible that you can build every gun to have 0 recoil. We just don't know yet. So, and then last pro for me, which is certainly not least. Last, but absolutely not least. The meta is going to and has been very shaken up with all of these changes. You can look, I think this is most obvious. So they changed like a lot of the lethals and a lot of the tacticals. So now there's like a very open conversation about what is the best lethal and what is the best tactical. I just don't see any two people running the same lethals anymore. Like, they just don't do it. Because Molotovs are like so much better now. Semtexes are worse. It's a different map also. So even outside of the changes, like things are different. But even more striking is the tacticals.
I think Semtexes were buffed, weren't they?
No, they were nerfed slightly.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was buffed. I don't know. Whatever
change it got was very
still
slight,
suck.
but I think it was a slight nerf. But yeah, yeah. So, but even more strikingly were the changes to the tacticals. Like stims are worth using and good now. Smoke grenades weren't changed at all, but they're actually worth using now because the map has no buildings. And I've gotten some clutch fucking reses. Ask Jake, he's dog shit and gets downed all the time. I resed him 2 or 3 times today because of a smoke. Courtesy brought to you by smoke grenades. Throw a smoke on him and just pop a res. There's no buildings. He can't crawl into the room. There isn't one. But I'll just yeet that thing, that smoke grenade, pop a res, get him up, and then I deign to allow him to redeem himself by getting 300 more kills than me. So the smoke grenades are like really good too, even though they weren't changed, just because of the map being changed. Stims giving the speed buff, very important. Snapshot grenades, which are Tanner's favorite. Tell us about snapshot grenades, Tanner.
Oh, I keep those things on. By the way, Semtexes were buffed. They were not nerfed. They're still just shit though. Before the max damage was 140, now it's 150, which is still terrible. That you look at that number and it makes you think, why has anyone been running Semtexes all these years? Or since Warzone came out? Huh? 150 max? That's terrible. Anyways, the best tactical in the game right now, without a doubt, snapshots. It doesn't help me that much, but it helps my stupid fucking team. I can't tell you how many times there's people, like my teammates are in front of me somewhere. Jake yelled out earlier, there's guys in front of me. I say, I'm snapping. I throw that snap. He already had one of them downed. He didn't know where the guy went. I threw that snap thing up there in front of him. I was 40 meters away. It snapped and it tells him where the guy was down. Now I think he was selfing or something. Jake got that down. I run up behind him. I throw another snap. We see where the other guys are. They're just so good, man. They're insanely good. You can throw them. We were in Capitol. I threw them at the top of a building that was probably 4 stories high. No, on the roof of a building that was 4 stories high. It showed the guy, he was on the first floor, and it showed exactly where he was, and I threw it on the roof 3 floors above him. They are so good. So the range was increased from 14 meters to 28 meters, and it goes through anything. The only thing that stops it is if they're running cold-blooded, which I've hit maybe 1 or 2 people so far that have been running it. You don't see it often at all. So snapshots grenades, I think, will be the meta, actually. And if we get a second loadout, I've been picking up restock over Ghost, so I always have those things on me.
Yep.
And I just throw them because they're not that good unless you have restock, because no one else runs them right now. So I throw 2 of them in one gunfight against a team of 4, and I just never have them again unless we get a muni or if I have restock. So they're very important. Earlier, Raz and I were in a 2v4. He was 450 meters away. I was pushing them. I was on top of the team. I threw a snapshot, saw where all of them were at. They started pushing me. Downed one, threw a throwing knife at him when he was on the ground, finished him. I threw another snapshot. The other guy starts coming through a door, throw a throwing knife at him because I'm a demon. Finish him with my PPSH hipfire build. Slice him up with my throwing knife. Slice him. His little buddy comes through the other window. PPSH hipfire. He's on the ground. Slice him up with my little thing. And then I die to the last guy. But they're insane, dude. They just tell you, they give you so much information now. almost to the point where they may need to be nerfed. Almost 30 meters telling you exactly where the person is.
That's radius, too. That's so much square footage. It's insane. Like a 28 meter bubble.
Oh, is it
around,
radius?
Yes, radius.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be,
so So imagine the snapshot grenade goes off. 28 meters in every direction, including vertically, as you mentioned. That is a giant bubble of potential snapshot pings. That is really big. I think it does need to be nerfed, yeah.
I know. It's
too much.
Pretty fucking insane. So, edit out everything I just said so people don't use them and I'm the only one running them.
Yeah, we will edit that out. Yes, correct, yeah.
They are nutty, though. They're absolutely nutty. So I would recommend trying those out. And also throwing knives are fun right now. I've been using those just to mess around with.
Yep.
They're probably not the meta, but a throwing knife can now one hit a person who's fully plated if you hit them in the upper torso or the head. I got 3 downs in one game today using throwing knives. 3 downs, and then I just walk up to them and finish their stupid little. I stomp their dumb little head in. So there's a lot of it's fun using different shit right now for sure. So I love the snapshots. Highly recommend you guys try them out if you haven't.
Yeah, and so exactly, and that's just because of the lethal and tacticals. All of that, like all of that meta shift, and that impacts quite a lot because guess what? If snapshots do become meta, then what happens? People start using cold-blooded. Then what? So now the meta's changed wildly again. Then what happens? Well, explosives are better now because people aren't running EOD anymore. So then the meta changes again. The meta has been just fucking shaken up, dude. It's been blended just because of these. And then also, like Tanner said too, I haven't been running Ghost anymore. I've been running Restock. That's a giant meta change. Maybe you want to prioritize those UAVs more now because the meta is just so wildly shaken up right now.
And Combat Scout, like we were saying, I've been running Combat Scout on all my AR over amped.
Yes. So when Combat Scout and snapshots become more prevalent and you're not in a room, so you're not going to get exploded upon as often, maybe you prefer cold-blooded. And then we go back to explosives. And it's like this meta has been shaken up so goddamn much. That's not to mention the fact that the map is way different. People are going to be sniping way more. Maybe we see far fewer shotguns, for example, even though they're so good. Fewer SMGs even because more people are sniping and they want an AR secondary. I mean, how much more can you shake up a meta? I don't know.
Meta, yeah.
But not much more. Not much more. You really couldn't shake it up much more.
High alert. That's another good one. Yeah.
High alert.
I've been hearing people say high alert is nutty because, you know, you'll be running out with no buildings and at least you know someone's staring at you. You know, they may not have a perfect line of sight on you because there's little hills or whatnot, but that's probably better on this map than it was in Verdansk. Well, we'll see. A lot of different things to try out right now.
And then another point Tanner had made, I think it was on our latest Patreon episode, which you should listen to at patreon.com/thedropshot, the best way to support the program, is another reason Ghost might not be as important is this. By the time you get second loadout, there are no buildings on the map anymore. So it doesn't really matter if you're ghosted because if they're shootable, you see them because there's no buildings and you just see them anyway. So what is Ghost doing for you? It's not hiding you from anyone who can otherwise see you. Whereas in Verdansk, Ghost was extremely important because if you're anywhere on the map, there are 80 buildings next to you, and you could be inside one of the many, many rooms in the many, many buildings inside of that particular circle, making Ghost extremely valuable and important. Whereas in Caldera, when there are no buildings in the circle, Ghost is a lot less good because you can't hide nearly as easily. If you're in my range, I'll see you. So Ghost, really what it does is it hides you from teams that can't see you right now and pop a UAV across the map. That's not to say Ghost is bad, and you can be outside and hidden. I mean, Ghost is still obviously quite good, but it's a lot less good than it used to be. It's a lot less good than it used to be. So then maybe you start running Restock to keep them things on you. Maybe you start running High Alert too. Yeah, there's a lot. So again, I implore you, listener, how much more can a meta be shaken up?
Got it.
Not much more though. And again, this just breathes new life into Warzone. It really does feel like a different game. Because not only is the map changed, we've gotten all these new guns, and now with a lethal and tactical rebalancing, we have a lot more. I mean, when's the last time you saw a heartbeat sensor, by the way? I didn't see one today once. I saw no one using them today.
I've seen one. I've seen them on the ground on dead bodies, but I've never had like a kill cam where someone actually used one and it was of any help to them to get them a kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to see those. You're going to see those move away, not so much because they quote nerfed it by making the sweep speed 6 seconds instead of 3. You're going to see people not run them as much because you're not in downtown and you can't pull up your heartbeat sensor and see that there's 8 guys in one 100-story building. You know, so they're just less. They're less useful on this map. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like this season has just, I mean, with all that's changed and all that's happened and the new map, the meta is just so different. And like, you know, with every season, the meta sort of, not with every season, but with many seasons, the meta gets shaken up just because new guns come out and they're good. And then, you know, people are using a fully auto rifle and then they move to a different looking fully auto rifle that does the same thing. You could call that a meta being shaken up, but not really, right? But now it's like, this is actually a new meta. We're talking new weapon categories are entering the fold, weapon categories falling out, different lethals, different tacticals, different perks. It's crazy. So that has been a huge pro for this season as well. So overall, Tanner, season 1, what are your thoughts?
Well, we said most of them. The map is good. I'm learning that the more we play it and learn, the more you're gonna like it. The more you're gonna see people start dropping high kill games because they'll learn rotations and whatnot. So map overall, I'm very happy with right now. I don't love this loadout change. Getting more used to it, but it's still just not ideal. It's not ideal for having like a fast-paced game, that is. I do think most of the casuals, the average person, will enjoy this more. But for me, I would rather have a loadout right away. Make it cost more, let me run around the map, start frying people. That's what I want to do. But you know, we're starting to creep up there and get higher skill games without it. So we're starting to learn it. Very fun to learn a map that plays entirely different than anything we've seen in Warzone before. So overall, I'm very happy. I'm very impressed with the actual almost seamless integration. We may even call it seamless.
Good point.
The guns absolutely fuck. I mean, people were bitching about, you know, why is there bloom in Warzone? This should never be in Warzone. And I agree with you, but hey, it's because it was in Vanguard and they ported these guns over and did it perfectly. You know, the recoil plots, everything is like exactly the same as they are in Vanguard, except for the way certain things stack, like damage mags, vital stuff like that, which they made it so it didn't stack as high in Warzone. So it's less overpowered.
Change. Yeah.
So yeah, they probably launch couldn't have gone better. I know there's obviously a lot of bugs and stuff. I'm not referring to that. There's always going to be that shit, you know, unplayable on PS4, crashing and shit. But for the actual core gameplay, when it's working, I don't think there could have been a better integration, really.
Totally
very
agree.
Pleased.
I'm incredibly pleased. I think really this is my favorite season of Warzone ever. Easily. There's never been another season that came out that made the game feel as fresh as it does right now. There have been good seasons in the past, nowhere close to this. This feels so fun. It feels new for the first time in a very long time. And there are things to be discovered now. Not only like the map, sure, but also like, oh, is this gun good? Is this category good? Is this perk good now? It feels wildly new and fresh and fun, and also the balance does not seem insane for anything yet besides the combat shotgun, but that doesn't matter as we went over, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. There's still a lot to uncover, and the map itself is not that glitchy. There's no hidden walls that I've flown into yet. That's nice. Nothing there, and you know, there's no downtown. There's no insane buildings. The map itself has played quite well, been quite fun. The performance for it has been fine, as good as Verdansk, maybe even a little better. So that's nice, because I was a little worried about all the palm trees. Tanner assured me that wouldn't be an issue. Turns out he was right. It performs totally fine, better than Verdansk even. So the only issue I really have, and they're going to remove Bloom. I mean, the only issue I really have is maybe the loadout change.
Yeah.
I have no complaints other than that. And even that is like a maybe complaint. Like, I'm not even sure I have a complaint. So this has far exceeded my expectations for a change to Warzone, a Warzone patch and a new map. It has far wildly exceeded my expectations. There are things around the edges to complain about, which we talked about. But if you guys remember when we were listing our cons, it was kind of like, yeah, this is bad, but it doesn't matter that much. That's kind of been every con. Like, yeah, shotguns are really insane, but luckily this map is shit for shotguns anyway. Yeah, the chopper guns are really annoying, but they don't fucking register bullets, so who cares?
Yeah.
Like, that's been like every con, which is, you know, as good as you can expect for in terms of negatives. So yeah, I'm incredibly pleased with this. I'm very, very fucking excited. Good things on the horizon, and it's nice to like be excited to play Warzone again, which I am.
Yeah, like every single time I'm not playing it now, I'm like, fuck, I wish I was playing Warzone right now. You know, trying to learn this new map, trying to level up guns in Vanguard or Warzone, whatever that be. So yeah, it's, you know, there's just so much new stuff going on right now that it's always going to be fun to learn.
Yeah. Amen. So that is that, boys and girls. And by the way, let this be another testament to how wrong people who think we're just negative Nancy's all the time are. We were, because the game was dog shit for so long, but now we're positive once again. So anyways, that is it, boys and girls. Once again, please, we beg of you, hey listener, did you have fun listening to this episode? Did you enjoy it? Was this a good way for you to spend 2 hours? First of all, of course it wasn't. Second of all, however, you probably at least had fun listening, right? And you were entertained for 2 hours. If you were, go to thedropshot.com and go to our Patreon, man. And sign up, dude. $5 a month, 4 bonus eps a month. We have a brand new Patreon episode coming out on fucking Sunday morning. And it's both fun and exciting, relating to Caldera weapon meta balance. And you get access to all the past bonus eps instantly, right? Instantly. And if you don't give a fuck about bonus episodes, I don't care, man. Give me your money anyway. I don't give a shit if you don't listen. Hey, sign up and download episodes, downvote them, and talk shit about them. Don't care. Just want your money. Patreon.com/thedropshot. That's the best way to support the program in all seriousness. If you wanted to support the show, if you appreciate what we're doing here, that is the best way to do it. We have bonus episodes, we do weekly hangouts, we do gameplay breakdowns, and more. You can see the website for details, patreon.com/thedropshot, or you can go to thedropshot.com, your home for the program. You can find links to the Patreon, the YouTube, where there's video versions of the podcast, the Twitter, all of it. And last but certainly not least, our merch store, where we sell merchandise. Official The Dropshot merchandise. We did our first merch launch. We got whiskey glasses, coffee mugs, and some shirts and some sizes. The highest quality of items, rave reviews about them from each and every purchaser. And you should join them. It's a good way to support the show as well, thedropshot.com. So boys and girls, that is it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Have an excellent evening, of course. And as always, remember, obviously sign up to the Patreon. Remember that. And also remember, stay humble.
Stay humble.